Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacy Dredd. Hey everyone, thanks for being tuned in to KPOV 88.9 FM, your high desert community radio in Bend, Oregon. I hope you are having a good day. This is Stacy Dredd, Galactic Ambassador in the Cosmic Community. That's our astrology program here Tuesdays, 4:30 to 5 p.m., where we discuss the week's planetary and lunar influences, how we may be able to work within the cycles of the universe to be in more harmony with that and create a more benevolent life for all. So thank you so much for making time and space in your day today to receive these messages. If you need to access the archive, you can do so at the kpov.org website and go to the Cosmic Community show page and any show page for that matter. You can hear the last archived program. It drops in there midnight the night before, and so you'll be able to listen to this one again and share it with friends and family and people who may need this message. You'll be able to get that archive also. So thank you so much. I'm going to dive right into the week's astrology. We are coming into a full moon. We have a full moon tomorrow. It's in Gemini at 16 degrees. So we'll be chatting about that. We also have Mercury and Venus both moving into the next sign, ingressing the sign of Capricorn. We'll talk about what the planet of communication and the planet of love kind of do in the sign of Capricorn, and a couple of other little snippets that I'll throw in there. But that's kind of the big focus for the week as far as the astrology goes. And so today I'm bringing this report in on December 6th. We have today in about an hour or about a half hour, I guess, on the west coast of the United States, we have Mercury ingressing the sign of Capricorn. We've had Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius along with Venus and the Sun. Sagittarius is a fire sign. It's very expressive, very much about creating visions and creating futuristic, visions and plans and kind of seeing the broad, big picture is a Sagittarius thing. It's also definitely the sign of legal matters, the sign of adventure, and so much more. And so Mercury leaving a fire sign, going into an earth sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is also known to be the cardinal earth sign. And so the cardinal signs, they are the initiators of the bunch. The cardinal signs are Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, and Libra. And these four signs, they are known as the initiators. They're the ones who aren't afraid to start new things. They have that natural leadership energy. They have the ability to plan and follow through and really make things happen. So, we've been communicating. The planet of Mercury rules our communication. It rules sort of the way that we're thinking, like what our mental state is going through. And Mercury in Sagittarius, we have a tendency to think about the big picture, think about big things, think about visions, make these huge kind of visions and dreams and really share our hopes and dreams for the future. And then once Mercury enters the sign of Capricorn, we get more grounded with those ideas. Fiery signs like Sagittarius, they throw ideas around. There's a lot of energy, a lot of things being thrown around, just like a fire crackles. And the fire was crackling, and now Mercury gets a little more grounded in the sign of Capricorn. Mercury can take these, Mercury, yes, well, us, our mentality, the way that we're talking and the way that we're communicating, the way that our mind is thinking is now going to be a little more grounded in the earth sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is Capricorns can tend to be They're very career oriented, so can tend to be kind of like workaholics, like work really hard, get things done, make things happen. That's what Capricorns do, and very much focused on the bony structures of things. Mercury now in the sign of Capricorn, we can think about things a little more grounded. We can take all of those crackly ideas that we had when Mercury was moving through Sag and really get grounded with them and make them practical. Another Capricorn word is practical. And, definitely Capricorn is known as a serious sign. Like when they communicate, they're serious about it. And Mercury is the planet of communication and is now in a really serious kind of like, what we say over the next few weeks with Mercury and Capricorn is, it's really going to go a long ways because we're going to be serious about it. We've thought about it. We've created this vision. We've really, we've sat in front of the crackly fire and really, mold over mentally, all those ideas. And now we are ready to get grounded and start communicating a little more practically. Venus is going to be entering also the sign of Capricorn on Friday, December 9th. And so Venus, the planet of love, the planet of affection, and also like the planet of art and everything beautiful and pleasureful things. Venus represents what we value, our value systems. Venus is also money, very much the sign, the planet of money and like kind of rules money. And so Venus in Sagittarius has been all about, like I was saying, those visions. We're really with Sagittarius. We're adventurous. We're like a little more adventurous, and Venus has been moving through the sign of Sagittarius and has been, sort of more adventurous. Looking at things from a little more of a playful, adventurous perspective. Maybe over the last few weeks while Venus was in Sagittarius, you found yourself, going out on a limb, and taking a little adventurous leap when it comes to like the way that you use your money or the way you make money or the way you think about money or just money in general, like how it plays into your life. And also just like our love and that value system that's represented by Venus. Sagittarius is the sign of like good luck and all of that too. So we create these really big ideas and almost like these really big expectations. Like Sagittarius can tend to exaggerate a little bit and get a little over the top. And so, Venus has been in Sag. We've been really desiring, and feeling what we desire and making ideas around it and talking about it. And Mercury and Venus are so close together. They're within 4 degrees of each other still right now. So the communication about these Venusian themes has been hot. They've been traveling together for, over a month now. They ingressed the sign of Sagittarius together, and still this week, the sign that the week that they're moving into Capricorn, they're still only 4 degrees apart. So, they're basically walking hand in hand here. And when Venus enters the sign of Capricorn on December 9th, that's going to also come into a little more practical nature. Dreams, hopes, desires that we've been experiencing with that crackling Sagittarius fire, though also Capricorn is going to be able to ground in some of these ideas. We're going to be able to be a little more practical about those and, make some more kind of like maybe if these are true things that we really are, reaching for in the future, Capricorn's going to help us build the structure that we need to move into that. that. And also in the sign of Capricorn, we do have Pluto at 27 degrees. And so these two planets, Mercury and Venus, will come in to, they'll come in to Pluto and have a conversation. Pluto is the death and the rebirth cycle. Pluto is like when things are worn out, we have the opportunity to let them go so that we can create some more space for the things that are trying to come in. And, these little deaths and rebirths, they happen all the time. And, it doesn't need to be like some extravagant, or like a physical death and a rebirth. It could just be like the death of an old idea. Like I've always thought this way, and I thought that, I was going to always think this way. But when Mercury has an opportunity in Capricorn to meet up with Pluto and have a discussion about it, maybe by then, we'll be able to shed or slough whatever that is that we're needing to sort of be done with, something that's worn out the way that we're thinking. And then also Venus will come through, something that, in regards to the love and the money, maybe we've, had these big visions, and then Mercury and Venus come through Capricorn. And maybe this is just an opportunity for Pluto to kind of help us to get super, super practical. I think that these dreams and desires, these hopes that we have for the future, we have these really big ideas and plans. And I think over the next month during Capricornian season, we're going to see these visions come to a place where they are more workable, come to a place where they're graspable. They're not just like ideas floating around in the ethers. They're going to be, definitely going to be able to put the tire to the road and really work with them. 4 all over my clocks here. This is Stacy Dredd, Galactic Ambassador in the cosmic community. We're talking this week's astrology and how the energies just may be felt and how we may be able to work with the energies. That's really what I'm all about. Working with the energies and the cycles, because when the energy is hot, it might not be an opportunity that we get all the time. So when we stay in tune and in touch with really what's going on with the energies, we can work with them and really manifest the things that we desire and want to see become reality. Thoughts become things. And so never let the dream fade away, the cycles are strong. Right now, we are in the midst of a Mars retrograde. That's a pretty heavy one. We just over the last couple weeks, we've had Jupiter and Neptune stationed direct. And so at the moment, we have Uranus and Mars, both retrograde, and Mercury will station to go retrograde later this month. But Mars retrograde is the most rare. And this is an interesting one that is being highlighted directly by this full moon in Gemini on December 7th. This is at 16 degrees of Gemini, so that is right where Mars is stationed retrograde. And the moon will come into a conjunction with Mars in Gemini at 16 degrees, and then the sun is directly across the zodiac at 16 degrees of Sagittarius, creating the full moon in Capricorn and, the full moon in Gemini, as I just said. We have the new moon in Capricorn later on this month. We'll get to that. But this full moon in Gemini. Gemini is the sign of doubles. Gemini is the sign of options. Gemini is the sign of having not one, but two. It's represented by the twins. And so when we are feeling the energies of Gemini as we are during this full moon, we are experiencing this need, desire to look for options, to explore the things that are our options, to explore ideas. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the sign of communication, as I said. And so Gemini is the sign of communication. It really, truly is, because it's represented, ruled by Mercury. And so during a full moon, it's a moment where we come to a culmination point, is what full moons represent in the astrology. It's a release point, is really what it is. This actual full moon at 16 degrees of Gemini is basically conjunct the blood moon eclipse that we had back in November. So if you can think back to November, we had a blood moon eclipse on let's see, I'm going back in my notes here. November 8th was the day of this extremely potent full moon. And this is going to be absolutely re-triggered because we're hitting that 16 degree point. So anytime you have, like this one's at 16 degrees. And so if you have any planets on or around 16 degrees of any sign in your astrological birth chart. If you don't know what I'm talking about, every person has a unique astrological birth chart of where the planets were at the moment when you were born. And this chart can tell us a lot about how to work with these energies specifically. So, you look at your chart, you find 16 degrees of Gemini, and then you look at all the other signs and you see if you have anything at 16 degrees. And you just know that these themes are going to be activated. So anything that we were working on back in November during this blood moon eclipse, it's going to come back into play. And that was a potent one. So be aware of that. That was so 1 month ago, except for all these things are super connected. So, that was a pretty heated full moon. It was definitely one that, people were just kind of like, that one was conjunct Uranus. And so Uranus being the planet of surprise, being the planet of change, being the planet of awakenings, it was just like anything can go. And so we actually have Uranus at 16 degrees of Taurus still, and with Mars and the sun and the moon hitting 16 degrees, this could come into play. We could have some kind of like surprise again through this one. And so Mars retrograde, I've been talking a lot about it. Mars is the planet that represents our physical body. Mars represents our warrior spirit, the way that we fight for things that we love and care about and think are the things we should fight for. That's what Mars represents. Mars is very much a masculine energy. It's a go out and get it right now. Mars tends to be a little impatient, not a little, it tends to be impatient because Mars wants things to be done now. Mars is an action-oriented energy. So when we are working with Mars, we know that there is going to be action involved, but we have Mars retrograde at the moment. So retrograde does not mean that there won't be action involved. It just means that it might be regarding something that already happened in the past, because when a planet is in retrograde, it means that we're reviewing the past. We're going over old territory. The planet from our vantage point here on Earth looks like it actually moves backwards, although it's just because of our vantage point on Earth and the solar system and whatever. But to us, it looks like it's actually moving backwards. And so, we move back from 25 to 5 degrees of Gemini during this Mars retrograde. It's a long one. We don't pop out of it until January, and then Mars leaves Gemini in March. So I think that this Mars retrograde is probably going to be a little extendo. We're going to be dealing with these themes, but this full moon is going to be a trigger point. Something is going to give during this full moon. And this is regarding these choices that we're being faced with. As I was saying, Gemini is the sign of two things. We don't want to be stuck into one thing. With Gemini energy, we want to be able to know that we can reach out for other things too. So we're keeping our options open, very much exploring, finding information. Gemini is the sign of one-on-one interviews and one-on-one talks, like one person talking to another person, like an interaction between two. And so that is all about asking questions and asking the right questions, right? Well, Mars retrograde, we are kind of internalizing, so we might find ourselves having conversations with ourselves, asking ourselves the types of choices that we want, and it could be definitely hard to get a grip. It's just it's a kind of a frisky, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's the word I want to use. It's kind of a frisky energy, you're not totally sure, and it's active and it's ready to pounce, and Mars is always ready for action, but retrograde, we're going over the past, we're looking at things that have already happened, and this full moon is definitely going to be an interesting one on December 7th. I have my north and south node at 15 degrees of Gemini and Sag. So this full moon actually falls right on my my nodes of destiny. So I know, that it's going to be fated. It's going to be fated. No matter what happens, it's going to be fated. It's going to be a turning point. It's going to be a cosmic course corrector in my life because of that conjunction with my natal north and south node. And so very interesting. I really appreciate having this radio show and being able to disseminate these messages and this information. I definitely have been feeling into this full moon, and was definitely ready to come in and have this talk today. So I hope it was helpful, and I hope you got something out of it. If you have any questions, specific questions, you want to know how to get an astrological birth chart because you have no idea, send me an email, thecosmiccommunity@kpov.org. I will get you all taken care of. And I guess that's about it for this show for the week. I mean, geez, it's going to be the middle of December by the time we talk next. And I think I'm going to have a little extra special show next week. I believe my intention is to do a sort of 2023 forecast. This is something that a lot of astrologers do at the end of the year, right? They look into the next year and talk about the energies coming up, right? So just like I do for my weekly breakdowns and my monthly breakdowns, I am going to attempt next week to do a 2023 next year breakdown of like how the energies are going to flow and the big astrological events. So I'm looking forward to that. It's definitely going to be a week of preparation for me to get ready for that, but it's really good for us to break it down into these greater cycles, these mini cycles, and roll through it together. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a good week. Take it easy on yourself. Take it easy on other people, and do enjoy. And I will talk to you next Tuesday. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.